Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Shore Parks, James Seltzer with you. And Elliot, we finally made it, buddy.
We did.
We made it. You were on the sidelines with a pen and a pad doing your thing. It's glorious. Given the state of Philadelphia sports right now, there's literally nothing that I care about more than what happened today down at NovaCare, the Eagles being back on the field. We need them so desperately in this city, Elliot. How you doing, pal?
Well, it's my happy place, right?
Oh, I
mean, being at the NovaCare, watching practice is there's lots of parts I love of the job. Obviously, doing this glorious pod with you, being on air. But there is something about watching the Eagles practice, and it's the weather today. It's the tweets I'm seeing. It's around the league stuff. I know football is getting ready to go away for 6 weeks, but man, it really did feel today like football is back. And it was awesome to see the team. Obviously, a ton of takeaways from seeing them tracked all the plays. Jalen Hurts threw the ball 11 times. We had a Marcus Mariota interception. I have some Mariota takes. I mean, 2015 Elliott would be very jealous of 2023 Elliott that gets to track a Marcus Mariota practice. I mean, in 2015, that was all I wanted.
Well, then 2023 Elliott would turn, I'm guessing, I wasn't there today, would turn to 2015 Elliott and say, you're not missing much, pal.
Yeah, well, and guess what's going to happen in 2 years, Elliott? Yeah, get ready, 2015 Elliott. It's all going to work out okay without Mariota, at least in 2017. But no, I mean, it was a beautiful day out. They practiced for about an hour, did some 7-on-7, no 11-on-11.
Which you predicted.
Yeah,
no big deal to you.
No big deal to me. Yeah, I have covered 1 or 2 practices. But so I have lots of takes on different things, depth chart thing, talk about Hurts. I will say this is a real good chance to just look at these, just to look at the guys. And my biggest takeaway, maybe of the whole thing, but my biggest takeaway for sure, one of them is, and this will be no surprise, Nolan Smith is just going to be an absolute monster. Nolan Smith.
He's your favorite player.
It's like the idea that he was considered undersized is so comical when you see him around other people. He's basically like Dallas Goedert size when he's standing next to him. He doesn't look skinny at all. He was in there for 7-on-7s. It felt like he took every single rep. I know he did take some technical first team reps. I mean, he was really with the third string defensive line most of the time, but it felt like every single time I looked out there, he was out on the field. There was one play where they completed the ball about 15 yards down the sideline. He's sprinting down the sideline to go. They can't even tackle. It's not tackle. Like, what are you doing down there? I think this guy is not only going to be very good, but he's going to be such a culture setter for this team. He really is their new Brandon Graham. That's what I think he's going to be. So
I love you. I don't remember a time you were as all in on a rookie.
I'm all in on him, man.
I know. It's crazy. Lasted until 30. Again, I thought they were going to take him at 10. Yeah. Like the fact that he was there at 30 is just, it's crazy, man. And I'm excited. Look, normally, the auto download the pod. Help us out. Hey, I remembered. It means a lot. And it helps people find the pod, rate and review. And again, more than anything, just hit that auto download button. No big deal to you. Big deal to us. It really
big deal to us. It helps.
Yeah. But ultimately, the auto downloaders know. Normally, we hop on, earmuffs 1, 2, 3. We fuck around a little bit. We have some fun. Today, we'll get to some stuff later. I got some final thoughts. That stuff's all going to be good. We're diving right in, dude. I'm so excited to have football back. I'm so excited to pick your brain about me. I've been in a coma today. I'm so freaking tired. Something I've learned about the new morning show thing, the waking up early, when you get a couple days off, like I did for Memorial Day, and then try and go back to the schedule, it's like you've been hit by a Mack truck. Every day this week is what I felt like. I've been so tired, but then I get on with you and I'm ready to roll. All right, we're diving. All right, you can't even tell. All right, takeaways time. However you want to order it. Let's just go through bang, 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 bang. Give me your top takeaways. We'll react, and then we'll dive in to some of the minutia after.
Well, I said the Nolan Smith thing. That is my biggest takeaway. He was the one I thought, it's hard to say he shined because it was not 11-on-11, but he was my biggest takeaway just in terms of seeing him physically, see the way he moves. His arms are humongous. So Nolan Smith, I could I could do 40 minutes on him, but that is my biggest takeaway. The other one, I mean, it's going to be a lot of Georgia takeaways because guess what? A lot of the people were interested in our Georgia players, but Jordan Davis looks great
Yes.
too, just
Tell
physically.
me, Elliot.
He
Tell
has
me.
this. I actually think, like, you know, I talk a lot about how I work out and try to diet. What is he doing other than being this, like, you know, 6'6" physical specimen? But he somehow still looks very big. Like, you know, obviously we know the size he was to do what he did at the combine, to be like a you know, 3-4 nose tackle. Essentially, he's a big guy, but he somehow has maintained looking big while also looking svelte. Like the way he moves is very impressive for someone his size. And obviously he ran a good 40 last year, but physically seeing him, it looks like he's in great shape. He talked afterwards about, you know, just having another year and how much more comfortable he feels. So it was good to see him out there. Again, didn't do any 11 on 11, so didn't get to see him really run any reps. But on 101s, he looks quick. I mean, he looks like he's in really good shape, and he's over the foot injury that costed him. Like, if there is one upside to the fact that he hurt himself early-ish in the season last year, is that he did get the full off season. And, you know, we have a lot of things we say on this pod. Athletes are, you know, shoulder up, all those things. You know, you should pick the best movie by counting movie tickets. We have lots
do
of
not
things
say that on this pod. That is
agree on, right?
Yes,
But another thing we do say is it matters when big guys miss training camp and they miss time. And I think it's going to be such a big deal for him that he's going to have all off season. He's partaking in these drills. And then in training camp, you know, knock on wood, he'll be healthy as well. So he looked really good. Your boy.
Hold on real quick before you jump onto my boy, because I want to respond to the Jordan Davis thing. That I also think, just look, and we'll see what happens. And you know that I've been positive about him. And more than anything, it's just we've seen so many guys struggle in the rookie season, and there were real reasons for him to struggle. And then, you know, be good football players. So I just didn't want to judge him based on 1 year. But I really love hearing that the motivation behind this, you know, that he, whether or not this pays off, and I think it's going to, but you know, just the fact that he took this off season, that he, you know, grabbed it by the stone, so to speak, and like really got in shape and is ready to roll and comes in with this attitude. It's a really good sign.
Well, the other thing that he said afterwards that I thought was really noteworthy, he talked about how now that he's in his second year in Philly, like, and this sounds like a small thing, but I don't think it is. You know, he has an apartment. He knows where to go get stuff to eat.
Athletes are humans too, Elliot.
Exactly. But what I liked, and I actually thought this last year, if you remember after his first press conference, I was very in on him as a person, like his personality. He talked about how now he's helping, you know, guys like Jalen Carter and other rookies, you know, Keeley, and I'm sure other Georgia guys, other non-Georgia guys, but getting guys that are just stuck in
only the Georgia guys.
Yeah, only the Georgia guys get to hang out with Jordan Davis.
Sorry, Sidney Brown, figure it out. I'm gonna help these guys.
You're on your own. Yeah, Tanner McKee, good luck. But he talked about how he's, you know, rookies are staying in hotels and you can get lonely there and you're kind of stuck, and that he's, you know, been inviting guys out and taking them out. So I think from a leadership perspective, we'll see if these guys can play, but from a leadership perspective, certainly the Georgia guys stand out.
All right, my boy.
Guys.
Do it.
So he was a starter. He was out there with the starters. It was him and Nick Moreau, the free agent linebacker they signed. Nakobe is the one that's wearing the green dot. So he's the one that's relaying the plays from Sean Desai. Big responsibility, a good indication of where they think he's going to be. He just looks small out there, man. I'm sorry. He does. He looks small out there. I think it's a good sign that he's starting, but at the same time, they don't have a lot of people out there. So we'll see. He didn't stand out for bad or worse today, in my opinion. It's really tough for linebackers to stand out in 7-on-7s, although Christian Ellis did have an interception off Marcus Mariota. But yeah, we'll see on Nakobe. He was out there. He's a starter. That's what you expected. I guess it's a good thing that they do have him out there as the starter, but not much else other than that.
Look, here's what I'll say with Nakobe, and I go back to my Jalen Hurts corollary. I think there are certain players and look, Nakobe might be too small. It might not work. It might be what it is. But I think there are certain guys who, you know, you can't really just look at them on the practice field and decide what they are.
I agree. And this is like, not an instance where he will shine.
No, and I know you're not. Yeah, exactly. And I know you're not doing that. You're just conveying what you saw, which is all you can do. Yeah. But like, you know, I mean, even like last year, it was, you know, garbage time, but he got into one game and he made some plays. Like, I'm just not ready to, I think he's good. I think he's going to be great. Like
I know you're all in on
I
him. Yeah.
really am. I'm really all in, but regardless, I'm certainly not going to judge him based on practice stuff unless he's, unless he loses that green dot, unless he's not
Right,
getting
that
starter
that
reps.
would be
That's a
noteworthy.
different story. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the other Georgia guys. I mean, Jalen Carter was there, but again, so Nolan Smith, because he's technically a linebacker, took place in 7-on-7s where he did drop back into coverage somewhat. Jalen Carter, he really just did one-on-ones. He looked like
Did they have him on the side just breaking sleds?
I know,
like
I
the
saw
show
that.
of it.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
It's just great. I love it.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
There was nothing to take away from him, though.
Let's get to the offensive guys, because that's really what you can at least. I mean, look, we're not, as we've, discussed many times on this pod, certainly from OTAs at June 1st, we're not taking anything big away from this offense. But, what were your takeaways? Any interesting thing? Who started at guard? All that type of interesting stuff that you can take away.
Cam Jurgens was the starting guard. From physically, there was one point where I saw someone standing next to Landon Dickerson, and I was actually standing with BLG, if we're going to talk about physically imposing.
That's a nice little,
great. Talk about 6'7".
I definitely know how tiny I look when I'm standing with BLG.
People look a little different from BLG's perspective, I would think.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Landon Dickerson was there, and I I thought it was Cam Jurgens next to him. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't look that small. Landon's a big guard. He looks fine. Wasn't Cam Jurgens. At one point I did see Cam Jurgens next to Landon, and yeah, I mean, he's considerably smaller. Like he just is. So he talked after practice. He said he wants to weigh around 305, 310. I meant to look up how much
small.
Yeah, I meant to look up how much Sayamalu weighed. Maybe I'll try to do a quick.
I think it was like 320, maybe.
Okay, so yeah, like 10 pounds, Isaac.
I think.
You want to take a guess right now while I look it up?
Yeah, I'll go 318.
Wow. According to the Steelers website, Sayamalu weighs 303 pounds.
Yeah. So what?
I'm telling you, like, there is a like when you look at them in person, Sayamalu is bigger than Jurgens, but on paper,
how do we explain that?
I don't know. Maybe we're making too much of nothing. I mean, he doesn't look. He looks Kelsey's size. He looks like a little bigger than Kelsey, but Kelsey's an undersized center. That's the problem. Kelsey's an
exactly.
But also, like, Brandon Brooks was a bit of a bigger guard. Landon's a really big guard. Mailata's really big guard. I kind of feel like we've gone through tackle. Sorry, we've gone through a stretch with these guys where it's like Mailata is so huge. Landon Dickerson, what a huge guard. Jordan Davis, look how big he is. Really, other than Nakobe, poor little Nakobe and Cam. Like, I don't know if they're undersized or if they're just small compared to the other people. Like,
that's a good point.
The massive humans Eagles have been drafting. So,
well, it's nice to know that Chip Kelly still lives on with big people beat up little people.
Yeah. But so Cam talked afterward. He said, he's adjusting to guard. It's good to have Kelsey with him. He feels like the communication is getting better. So we'll see. Again, no 11-on-11. So even in really 11-on-11s in training camp, it's hard to tell. He's somebody we won't get a real feel of until we see him. I mean, the joint practices will be good looks for him, and then it'll be interesting how much he plays in preseason games. But I still think week one snap when he will be the starter. But like, he is the biggest question as of now, though. He is lining up with the starters.
Yeah, I think I mean, look, you can the Oz or Quez.
Well, we go next.
Yeah, we're gonna get there next. I was saying, other than that, and there's a more important question at guard. I would say I think they're both important,
for sure.
But those are really the only two questions, right? I guess the running back rotation is a question too and stuff, but in terms of, like real position battles, I guess the running back is too, but we know that's going to be whoever gets it, that all those guys are going to get shots. They're going to be involved in all that. Like, we're talking about like a starting position. There's going to be one starting third wide receiver, though guys will rotate, but you know what I mean? And one starting, guard there. So those are the two big ones. So let's get to that other one there then, and we'll track the Jurgens one as we go along. And I'm hopeful. Like I'm hopeful about it, but look,
I think people should be hopeful. I don't get why there's so many people that are down on him. Like, maybe it won't work out, but I don't think there's any reason.
He can still be a really good center, right? Yeah, exactly. He's a center.
he could still be a really good guard.
Especially with Jeff Stoutland there coaching him,
Right.
especially with Jason Kelsey on one side and Lane Johnson on the other. He's playing between 2
100%.
Hall of Famers.
I really don't like. I understand the skepticism, and when we talked about Sayamalo, we talked about how Juergens is unproven, and who knows if he'll be good. I think it's fair to question it. I just don't get why so many people don't think he can do it. Like maybe he won't be good at it, but I don't think he's shown anything to make people think he'll be unable to make the transition. So we'll find out. But I think fans, while it's fair to be skeptical and to say, you know, I think people should stop assuming he might struggle. I think there's a chance he will be good at it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you again, especially with Stoutland, especially with the guys he's playing next to. I'm right there with you. All right, let's get to the Quez Oz. Both Z's. I didn't think about that. We get I know it's not his actual first name, but we're calling them Quez and Oz.
Yes.
It's a little similar.
Yeah. Well, they play similar positions. So
the Battle of the Z's. My daughter's favorite letter because her name is Zoe.
There you go. So they were both there today. Devontae Smith was not there. Devontae has been there. I don't think it's a big deal. He wasn't there.
I don't think anyone's concerned about Devontae Smith's effort and dedication. Yeah.
I will say in general, you know, maybe it's easy for me to say, but I feel like if I was a player, I would be at every single one of these. I'm just always a little surprised when people elect not to go. Who knows what he's going on in his personal life? He has been there. I'm not signaling out Devontae, but I don't understand why players don't go to this. It seems like a very small ask.
Why wouldn't you? And look, Devontae, I know he has his charity softball game coming up. Maybe he's got some things with that to organize. Who the hell knows? But look, I'm with you. I would be there. You know,
and I will say this: Hassan Reddick not there. So just keep an eye out on that. Hassan Reddick not there today. Lives in the area. Has been working out.
Are people accusing you? Your tweet? Do people think Hassan saw the tweet and was like, "Elliot, good idea"?
Well, it was funny when I got to practice. You know, someone that works for the Eagles was like, "Oh, like you ready for today or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah, I got to make sure my client Hassan is here." He was not. So maybe some client, some issues there. But no, Hassan Reddick not there. He has not been there from what I can tell. So I would just keep an eye on that if you're Eagles fans. But anyway, Devontae was not there. And as a result, Quez was the wide receiver too. So right now, Quez is ahead of Oz on the depth chart. The best play of the day, I think, from an offensive perspective, involved Quez. Jalen dropped back 7-on-7s, hit Quez probably 20, 25 yards over the middle of the field. Really nice throw from Jalen, put it over the fingertips of a defender. Quez caught it, went in stride. Might have been a touchdown in a game. I think he was so far away and there's no tackling. I didn't give Jalen a touchdown for it, but it was a really nice throw, really nice catch from Quez. Quez had another play later in the day where he got open down the left sideline. I think it was Greedy Williams covering him. I could be wrong about that, but he got open down the sideline. He had a step on his defender. Jalen missed the throw. I think with a better throw, it could have been a touchdown. So I thought Quez did have a good day. There was another play where he kind of slipped along the sideline. Obviously, that's not ideal. Physically, Quez grew his hair out. He's got like long dreads now.
You're going to say physically he's put on some muscle or something.
No, he hasn't. I wanted...
It was so unexpected. Physically, he's grown his hair out.
He's grown his hair out. I did want to see him put on muscle. And I thought that when I saw him at Jalen's introductory press conference, it looked like he had, but just looking at him out there, he did not look much different physically than he did last year. Him standing next to Oz, he is considerably bigger than him. Like it looks like he has
Quez is considerably bigger.
Yeah, Quez is considerably bigger.
Okay.
It looks like he has 2 or 3 inches on him. Oz also had a catch today from Jalen. He got second team reps and he was in there on the slot when they went with 3 receivers in the 7-on-7s. So it looks like Quez though is ahead of him right now. And that's to be expected. I mean, Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell got first team reps over Swift and Penny, but we all know, presumably in the season, those 2 are going to be the main running backs. It's just at this point, the guys that know the offense, as opposed to the guys that are learning it, are always going to be ahead on the depth chart. And that's not a Sirianni thing. That's just something you see pretty much all the time.
I mean, that's logic. That makes a lot. You're just trying to run these reps. You're not really even like judging these guys that much. I think, you're really just.
I will say on defense, Moreau was a starting linebacker with Nakobe, but the difference is they have like literally nobody at linebacker. It's just Nakobe and then guys that you might not even make the team. So I understand putting Moreau up there, but no, I think Quez had a good day. The Quest thing is interesting because I understand why people are down on him, and I understand why he's an easy person to point to and go, okay, this is where you make a change. But, as a number 3, that's really a number 4 receiver, I think he's a pretty good number 4 receiver. He just there were bad moments, but when you're only getting 2 or 3 targets a game, he does stretch the field. I mean, he got 51 targets. Like, I don't know. I'm not as down on Quez as other people. I'm just not.
Look,
Now, if he made a catch, they're probably Super Bowl champions, but
yeah. Well, look, I am down on him because of that, and just in general, it felt like he had multiple boneheaded plays this season. I remember the Washington game. I mean, I saw multiple people say the only 2 games that Jalen lost this year, you could potentially place on Quez Watkins' head, which is a stretch.
Yeah, it's a good point. The Dallas game, he got pushed off his spots.
Yeah, so I've been frustrated by that with Quez, but I agree with you. I think he has flashed enough and shown enough talent that it's not like he's a bad option at third wide receiver. I think he's fine. I think he's an average third, maybe slightly below average, but average to slightly below average third wide receiver, maybe average. But so I'm right there with you on that. But also, I understand the frustration, and I'm not like a fan. I don't think Quez is great, and if they replace him, I'd be fine. But I'm right there with you on that. In terms of also, real quick, let us not just pass the moment without giving you some credit for the restraint you showed not giving Jalen a touchdown that play. I mean, you could have given him one.
Thank you.
And you were like, no, you know what?
Look,
this is important stuff I'm doing here.
Let me say
this is in the Library of Congress or the Smithsonian.
Yes,
100 years from now. I wanted the record to be correct.
Yeah. Well, I have a certain, I have standards. I've been doing this for a long time.
That's right.
But let me also say this. I see there's other people tracking stats.
Oh,
let the record show there is an official record book of stats, and that comes from this right here.
Nick Sirianni said it was you. Nick Sirianni has you. So,
it's the only ones that'll one day be recognized.
Don't try and horn in on someone's thing. All right. It's lame.
I don't track punts like Jimmy does. Everyone has their thing.
That's right. Everyone has their thing. Jimmy specializes sometimes in picking the eccentric, idiosyncratic is the word one, but I love it. I love it.
Would you say svelte is like a unique word? Because I use it in a tweet and a bunch of people are like, what are you talking about? What's that mean? I feel like it's fairly common.
Pretty, yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty, yeah. I would say most people know what it means.
Do we want to get into Jalen or do we want to?
Well, that was literally going to be my next question. I was going to ask, like, look, there's not much we could take away from it. Like, how I feel, especially after especially with this guy after last training camp and what he did last season. But
now he did have a good training camp last year, but yes.
But he didn't reach your number.
He didn't reach his 30. You're right. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And then he should have won the MVP. But just in terms of how he looked, like the vibe, the physically, however you want to take that, whether it's hairstyle or body, how'd he look?
The dude is just so cool. Like, he's just so cool. He's
him.
out there. I mean, he's got sweatpants on. It's like, like that's cool, number one, because it's obviously hot outside. But he's going up to Quez and he's talking to him after an incomplete route. I mean, he's talking to Brian Johnson. He just, he's the franchise quarterback. He is the franchise quarterback, and he moves like it. He always has moved like it, even really since he got here.
Was it more? Did he have was there, because I'm so with you. Like, Jalen has had swagger. Really, probably from the moment he came out of his, his mother, moment he was born, the kid had swag. I mean, he's just straight swag. But did you sense like an air about it where it's like, not only does he have swag, but he's coming into his first OTAs, eventually his first training camp as like the established, I got paid, I was almost the MVP, I went to the Super Bowl guy,
So I mean, maybe I'm projecting onto him because it's hard not to view him that way.
Of course.
But I think if I'm being just like completely honest, I think he's acting the same. I think he's always been the kind of, like, I've said this before to you, when I'm in a room with somebody who's giving a press conference, he just completely controls that room. And I know at the NovaCare, we're not in a room, right? There's no ceiling, but he controls that field. Like, when he is out there, he controls that field. He walks where he needs to walk to talk to people. Like, players respond to him. I just, afterwards, Nicholas Moreau, the linebacker, talked about he he was asked what impresses you about Jalen, and I think that kind of the easy answer would be, man, he's such a great athlete, like the way he moves and the way he takes off. And what he said was, and a lot of people talk about his leadership, right? But what he said was, the way Jalen controls the field with his eyes is really impressive. And the way he looks off defenders and the way he throws guys open. So, we think so much about Jalen as this leader because he is, and the runner and stuff. But Jalen has said it himself too, that he views himself as a triple threat quarterback because, arms, legs, but also his mind. And Moreau touched on that. So
yeah,
overall,
and also, I mean, look, that's impossible to argue against. Not just just in what we've seen. I mean, the leap that he took from year 1 to year 2. That's I was gonna say as much, but probably even more mental than physical. What he did, obviously, he worked on his mechanics, all that, but everything else was and look, and also it takes real football smarts to run the offense he's running, to make those. I mean, he has to make decisions and multiple decisions on every play, reading the defense, reading players, all that. I think that's a really, you're right. We don't, we give him so much credit for everything. It's hard to think that we miss anything, but maybe we miss that a little bit.
So,
I think we give him credit for it, but maybe not enough.
Are you ready for the stats for today?
Oh, buddy. I mean, I can't believe we're 25 minutes in.
I was going to say, should we tease them for
no, not a radio, not a radio show, but yeah.
Okay. So he threw the ball.
Actually, yes, we should.
That's what I was saying. Yes.
Yeah. What am I doing here? We should. Elliot, well done. After you.
Okay. So look, I was outside today. It's hot. And I will say the nice thing about the video this way as opposed to the other one, if you'll notice, I did get a nice tan. I have a nice tan going. So as you know, it's coming. The heat, the humidity. I feel like I'm reading a dramatic novel.
It sounds like it's good.
The heat, the humidity, the high energy bills from forcing your AC into overdrive. Dun, dun, dun. If you want to beat the heat, we already know who the hero of this movie is. It's Window Nation. And how do you beat the heat? You call Window Nation and get yourself some good windows. Look, I got a window over there. It adds to the room. It makes it cooler.
Look at that. Yeah. That was like pro stuff.
You like that? Everyone takes them for granted until you have a bad window. And then it's like, well, who am I going to call? I'm going to call Window Nation. Replacing your old windows can be the most important thing you do to seal out savage summer swelter. Look at that. This is well written.
And they call alliterative, Elliot.
Yeah, I like that. Yes. Savage summer swelter. Keep it out with good windows. And right now, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free for every 2 you buy. Plus, you'll put 0 money down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 full years. I feel like now that the Eagles can wear number 0, there's something to be done here with that.
Ooh.
But
like that? I mean, that deal's absurd.
It's absurd. Whenever the deal has a lot of zeros in it and there's no commas, if there's no commas but lots of zeros. That's a good
point. Zeros, you're right. That's a really good point.
So as someone put in the comment, Philadelphia schools have early dismissal tomorrow due to the heat. Sounds like their windows are messed up. But, okay. As we all know, how do you get in touch with Window Nation? You call 866-90-NATION or windownation.com is where you can get all the information. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And please tell them you heard about it on Go Birds.
That's right, baby. Tell them Go Birds sent you. Tell them Elliot sent you. Tell them James sent you. Tell them
we all sent you.
Well, no, just and then just us two, no one else.
Or Jalen, Go Birds, but preferably us.
Yeah, Jalen, but do it for us. I think Jalen would want you to say us instead of him.
I agree.
You know what I know about Jalen. And here's the thing: you go to Window Nation, you get some windows, you save all that money with all those zeros that Elliot just talked about, which is absurd. And then bang, you double it, you triple it because you bust out the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. And you play some bets and you have some fun. And here, let me do my own Elliot dramatic reading there as Elliot was doing the heat, the humidity, the heat, the Nuggets, the NBA Finals. You can bet on it with the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. And the beautiful thing, you can bet on so much more because these games are coming up. Actually, tonight. How about that, buddy?
Oh, I completely forgot.
I did too until just now.
You want to know why you forgot?
Why is that?
Because it's a boring series.
Do you want to know really why I forgot? Because we keep it real with the Go Birds. I'm going to be asleep in an hour. I'm going to completely miss game 1. My bad is what it is. But you know what I am going to do, even though I'm going to bed? I'm going to bet on it because I'm going to throw a few bucks. It's a lot of fun to wake up and be like, bang, look at that. I lost a bet or I won a bet.
Well, it's nice to look at your account before you even know the score of the game and be like, all right, well, I won. So
There
I
you
know
go.
that you bet on won or lost if you bet
There
the
you
money
go.
line.
See, look at you. You go straight for the account. That's an even
Yeah.
proer
Well,
move.
these days I feel
Beautiful
like I
thing.
have to after going away for the weekend.
Bet on points, rebounds, assists in the games. You could bet on who's going to win all in any of these sports. You could bet on homers, strikeouts in baseball, stuff like that, individual player performances, live in-game betting. So much fun with the BetPark Sportsbook app. And it's more fun to watch games when you have some action on it. Here's the deal. All new users, you bet $10, you get $125 in sportsbook bonus. If your first bet is a winner, that is a great deal. BetParks.com has all the terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Elliot, back to you.
Okay. The Jalen Hurts day one official stats. He threw 11 passes. He was 7 of 11. As mentioned, he could have had 1 touchdown, but he didn't get it. He just doesn't get it. But no interception. So first pass of the day was his best pass of the day, the pass to Quez Watkins. You know, we kind of take for granted at this point how well he throws the ball. I remember last offseason, it was every good
he can't throw.
Right. Yeah, every good throw really stood out. Or the days where he struggled, it was, I don't know if he can do this. Now he makes throws like he did to Quez, and it feels like it's absolutely nothing. And you talked about Nakobe, how Nakobe might not be a practice player. I don't really think Jalen is a great practice player. It's why I think he's been better in the joint practices than he is in general practices. But today, you can even just see the consistency in his improvement. Like, he was just a real casual 7 of 11, really nice pass to Quez, had a nice pass to Oz on the sideline, had a good throw to Goddard. He probably could have put a little more under it to get him open a little more, but Slay broke it up. Obviously, Slay's a great corner. He had a nice check down where he didn't force anything. As I mentioned, the throw to Quez down the sideline is one I thought he should hit in a game that would probably be a disappointing miss. But 7 of 11 overall. He targeted AJ 3 times. AJ caught 2 of them. He targeted Goddard 3 times. Goddard caught both of them. Quez 3 times. Quez caught 1 of them because I remember he slipped and then there was the 1 miss. So good day for Jalen overall. As I said, the thing that stands out is just the consistency that wasn't there last summer. I know it's only 1 practice, but you can see he is like, this past year, he has completely transformed as a quarterback. And you see that even in these practices today.
All right, before we get to breaking 2013,
I have Mariota stuff. I don't know if
you didn't even hear me. I said,
I didn't know if you were moving on. Sorry.
Yeah, you let me do my segue before.
I'm sorry.
I said before we get to crushing 2013 Elliot's dreams.
Okay, you're right.
Was there anything else that stood out on offense before we move on to that?
Well, like I said, okay, well, so physically, first of all, I think the number 0 does look good on the jersey. I was a little worried. It's not a great. The Eagles don't have great jersey font numbers, so I think that might have been a problem. But the 0 does look good. You know who Rashad Penny reminds me in person? Remember Leonard Weaver, the fullback?
Sure.
He reminds me of him. Just like physically the way he looks. Obviously, he's faster than Leonard Weaver was, but they're both big. Like, they're both considerably bigger.
Penny's a big running back, yeah.
And DeAndre is too. I think of DeAndre as almost like a little scat back. That's not what he is. He is bigger than Miles Sanders was. So neither of them were that involved. They both took second team reps. Swift did catch a pass. Sorry, Kingsley is joining the show.
Kingsley.
Right now. Dude, I swear. So we feed him at I don't know, probably 5 or so. At literally, he's just at like 3:30 on. He is in my face about it. So right now, he will not be accepting anything less. All right, Kingsley, I actually have to work now. But all right. So anyway, DeAndre Swift caught a pass from the second team offense from Mariota. But physically, they both look big. Neither of them really did much because they didn't get first team reps and there was no tackling. But they both looked bigger than I expected.
All right, let's get on to Mariota.
Dude, let me tell you. Mariota might suck. He might suck for real. But that dude runs like no quarterback I have seen. When I first started covering the team, Michael Vick was there, and obviously he moves. But when you take into account the size of Mariota compared to the size of Hurts and Vick, this dude, there was a thing today where he took off. They were running in between drills, and he just decided he was going to run. I've never seen Usain Bolt run, but I would imagine I would imagine it's somewhat similar. His size and the way he
Oh, did
moves,
you not just say he's like Usain Bolt?
it's ridiculous. It's
He's
the
not like
fastest.
he's not like Usain Bolt though.
It is the
Yeah.
fastest I have ever seen a quarterback run with my own 2 eyes, like on a practice field. It might
Wow.
like in a game, like Justin Fields is really fast. Those guys. Marcus Mariota is an insane athlete, but he also had a horrendous interception. He dropped back through it. Literally, I'll give Christian Ellis credit. He did have to jump up for it, but it was a terrible throw, and he should not have done it. So he might be bad from the pocket. Trying to think, he had one nice throw down the sideline to my ultimate training camp OTA crush. We'll talk about in a second. But Marcus Mariota is he is such an upgrade from Gardner Minshew as an athlete. He might suck as a quarterback, but just as an athlete, it was impressive watching him move around today.
All right, I'll take that. I wanted someone who could run as a backup quarterback, so at least he
might
can
not
do
be
that.
able to throw, but he can certainly move.
Love it. All right, what else you got? Give me your crush.
All right, let me tell you. I will go to my grave. Hopefully 100 years from now, I'm laying on my deathbed and they're like, Elliot, before we talk about serious things, you covered the Eagles. What was one of your biggest takeaways? What's something you were right about? Tyree Jackson could be a top 5 tight end in the NFL. If Tyree Jackson can ever stay healthy, dude,
OTAs.
He might be the best athlete on the entire team besides Usain Bolt Mariota. Like he was, I mean, there was a year 2 years ago where he led the team in training camp catches. This guy, if he could stay healthy, look, Dallas Goedert's unbelievable. And Dallas Goedert is a legit top 5 tight end in the entire league. Tyree Jackson, I think, can be as good as Goddard. Tyree Jackson has the physical makeup.
If we have any idea if he could block?
Who cares about blocking? I don't know. But I'm saying as a receiver, if he could ever stay healthy for a full calendar year, I think the Eagles could have a legit elite duo. Well, he'll leave eventually and start somewhere else. But I think this guy is going to be unbelievable. I'm so in on him. It's unfortunate he's had really bad injuries. I think it was a torn ACL and then also a
broken back. Yeah, broken back.
It is unfortunate. I hope he stays healthy. But just physically, when you watch this guy, like if you just came to practice and were dropped down and knew nothing about any of the players, if you watched a Tyree Jackson practice, I think you would come away and being like, oh, well, he's got to be one of the best players on the team, right? Like that's just like physically the way he moves, he has great hands. I really think he could be very good if he could ever stay healthy.
All right. I mean, look,
I'm like so in on him.
I can tell. I think you might have gone a little far with the top 5 tight end thing, but I appreciate it. I mean, let him play well in a game first, and then we could say top 5.
Yeah, well, that's the first step. But after that, I think he'll be good to go. I have one Nick Sirianni thing before we get out of here.
Sure.
Are you ready? Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I was opening up my final thoughts thing. So
okay, well, really quick, we did have a commenter ask about Sidney Brown, so I want to make sure I answer.
Okay, yeah. So do Sidney Brown, then Sirianni, then we'll do final thoughts.
Okay, and I guess if anyone in the comments has someone potentially we haven't talked about, but Sidney Brown was with the 3rd team as the safeties. The starting safeties were Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds, and then after that, I think it was Kayvon and another safety whose name I can't remember. But Sidney Brown was not with the starters. So Sidney Brown, they did have him doing a lot of the 2 safety deep look. They were only doing 7-on-7, so he's not really going to go up into single man as much. He did do it on a snap or 2, and he looked good doing it. He does look small for the position. Like he's not, they had Blankenship and Edmonds are 2 bigger size safeties, but I think Sidney Brown is the best athlete of all of them on the field. So of all the safeties that they have. So not a ton to take away. The number 21 does look really good on him. I'm happy he got out of number 43, but he looks a little undersized, but his arms are huge. You can tell he definitely has a lot of muscle and he moves really well. So not a ton of takeaway in terms of making plays and whatnot, but he didn't look out of shape as an athlete. I think he'll have the physical tools to do it. It's just about adjusting and getting him up to speed on the defensive side of the ball.
Love it. It sounds good. All right. What do you got on Nick?
My Nick thing. So one thing you always say you like a lot about Nick, and I agree with it, is that he's a teacher and that he just loves to teach. So there was a moment in the practice today. I think it was Tanner McKee that threw the ball to a receiver who, frankly, I don't even know who he is. It must be some undrafted guy they signed. His last name, it was like Haloti Nada, but his first name is not
Joseph Nagata.
Yes. Yeah. First of
I'm
all,
assuming it's Nagata. It's
yes, it was
Ngata.
Nagata. Yeah. Yep.
Very funny you say that. Just remember that name for a sec. But go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, he is a big guy and he's interesting. So who knows? I don't think he's going to make the team, but maybe a practice squad guy, whatever. So Tanner McKee throws the ball. The guy ran. He should have gone right. He went left. And it's like an hour into practice. This is not AJ Brown. This is not Jalen Hurts. This isn't even Marcus Mariota and Britton Covey. This is a guy that is probably maybe even not going to make it to training camp. And Nick Sirianni is like in his face saying, this is the way you do it. Da, 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 da. And I think it just shows that what makes Nick special as a coach is he just has a pure love of teaching football. I think he loves football and I think he loves teaching and he loves, making everybody feel like family and all those things, blah, blah, blah. I think in like 15 years, when we're talking about what made Nick a great coach, I truly believe he loves to teach football, because to do that in that moment to a player who you could let your receiver coach handle it, you could let your offensive coordinator handle it. This is a guy that will probably not play a significant role in the history of Nick Sirianni. But to be that passionate about it and to be that worked up about that, this guy needs to do something another way. If he's coaching those guys that way, imagine the attention to detail he is giving to guys that are playing every Sunday. So I just thought it was a really good indicator of what makes Nick a really good football coach. He loves to teach the game. And I think that's such a critically important thing. Obviously, play calling and all that stuff. But at the basic core, the Eagles will be a good, fundamentally strong team because Nick really loves to do it.
I freaking love that. Yeah, I'm gonna run through a wall for Nick right now. I mean, in all honesty, I want to run into a bed and go to sleep.
Well, maybe don't run into a bed with Nick. That could be problematic.
No, yes, that would be.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That's amazing. I think, and I agree with you. It's something that we've harped on. And that's why I like about Desai so far. Looking at his background. I mean, the guy's a doctorate in teaching. Like, I'm just. I like that idea. I think, especially because we talked about that so much coming off Doug and, that group, and saying how that, we needed someone who was going to focus on fundamentals and, attention to detail and teaching the game and all that. And it's, yet again, I know ripped in the moment, but Jeffrey Lurie pretty good at this, when it comes to picking these guys out of what they need in the moment,
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So it was a cool moment. So overall, a very productive day down there. Very impressive. They are the best team in the city by far. They are the best franchise.
Oh my God, by miles, by light years. All the other teams should just honestly
it is crazy. It's like Eagles massive gap, and then Sixers gap, Phillies. So it is crazy.
Phillies and Sixers are equal on the level. I would say.
You're too
tired. Look, and the Phillies at least gave us one run. Over the Sixers, the Phillies, since, if we want to talk in the last 20 years, the Phillies have won a World Series and gotten into World Series, while the Sixers have not been in the conference finals. So it's not really that comparable. Like, all that matters is winning it all. So nothing else matters.
If we start this, we won't stop.
We won't. This is like text message battles that we have between you, me, and Jack.
It is the Sixers, just so I can plant my flag as well.
No. I mean, look, I hate, like, the Sixers are the most infuriating team in this city.
I agree, but they're better than the Phillies.
They are not better than the Phillies.
They are. They are. They win way more. Way more.
No, they don't. Not in the playoffs. That's all that matters. I don't care about regular season wins. Who cares about winning the regular season?
The Phillies haven't even made the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years.
Who cares?
The Phillies. I'm sure they really care.
The World Series. I would take that World Series run over all these Sixers playoff appearances combined.
Yeah, they would be
not even close. Team. I'll take that 1 year over all of it. So anyway, let's stop. Let's stop. Final thoughts.
Do you want to go first?
I can go first. Yeah. So I'm actually going to seed my final thought. Well, it will still be my thought, but it is for the first time a request. I'm going to do a request for my final thought. Okay. Shout out to Jacob Johnson on Twitter, and Jacob tweeted at me. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to find the tweet, but basically,
I was gonna say I have no idea how you saw it.
I always talk about books that I'm reading, and I've been talking about the sci-fi books I'm reading lately. And he's like, "Can you give a few recommendations?" Okay. So I'm gonna give a few recommendations for my final thought for you, Jacob Johnson, and anyone else out there who likes sci-fi books or likes reading. He mentioned actually one in tweets. He asked if I had read the Red Rising books. That would have been my number one recommendation. The Red Rising books are freaking awesome. They're by Pierce Brown. There are 5 books so far. There's one more coming out on July 25th. rumors of a 7th as well, but we'll see. Phenomenal, like super entertaining. Like they are not hard sci-fi at all. Like they are more they're very honestly, I'm surprised no one's made them into movies yet. They're super cinematic, like they're super like a really entertaining story of like caste levels and the rich and powerful and the weak and quote unquote and all that. Anyway,
The normal stuff.
I would recommend that. Right now, I'm reading a really good series. It is very, very long. It's the Leviathan Wakes series. It is actually it says it's by this person J.A. Corey, which is actually a pseudonym or whatever the term for a writer, a pen name for two people. One of which is George R. R. Martin's longtime assistant. So there, a little Game of Thrones reference. But these books are great. The Expanse. Have you heard of the TV show The Expanse?
I have not.
Okay. It was a show. It was like 6 seasons. It's a legit thing. These are the books that is based on. So there are 9 books. I'm on the 8th right now. They're like 20 hours long to read. If you have a Kindle, because
how do you have this time?
That's all I do is I read. That's why I don't watch TV these days. Again, I have it right on my phone, my Kindle app. It's like my number one thing on my phone that I use, my Kindle app.
Well, how I feel about reading on your phone. But.
Yes, I love it. You hate it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. But I would really recommend them if you like them. They're long, but they're super entertaining. And honestly, they've gotten better as they've gone on. The last couple have been outstanding. And then the 3 Body Problem is a trilogy. That's like pretty hard sci-fi, but it's really, really good and a great, like a lot of philosophy in there, like a lot of philosophical questions. And then the last sci-fi book I would recommend, just to the top ones. There are others if people are interested. If we get clamoring, as I'm sure many people have already tuned out of this. But like the most pop sci-fi book I would say is Project Hail Mary. It's by the guy, The Martian with Matt Damon. The movie.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes. The guy who wrote the book, The Martian, it's his next book called Project Hail Mary. Super entertaining. Really, really good. And there you go. And also not sci-fi as much, but like a sci-fi adjacent book that I loved is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. That's a really quick read, like 5 hours, really quick one. She did Station 11, the HBO show.
The TV show.
She wrote that book. So there you go. Some book recommendations.
Also, speaking of Station 11 and thus HBO.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to finish one last thing, but then go ahead.
So someone tweeted at us because we were talking about the great HBO shows on the last pod. How I said I thought White Lotus was the best season of TV I've ever watched. And we didn't even mention him. Yeah.
It's such a perfect example of Elliot right there.
It is. But also for what it's worth, that was one season, and we're talking these other shows.
Yes,
have a lot more. But yes, it was a very good point.
Very funny point. So last thing, and then we'll get to your final thought. The reason I flagged the Joseph Nagata name or Nada, or however you say it, is one of the 4 main characters in these books that I'm like almost done, that are 20 hours long. So I've been reading for like 170 straight hours of whatever. Jeez. One of the main characters named Naomi Nagata, like the exact same name. So now I saw this guy, undrafted. Now he's on the team. I'm like, oh, it's like Nao. I wonder if he's related to the character.
What's it called? What was that thing we talked about in the pod where you don't hear something for forever and then you hear it twice? Like, remember we did this where it was like, I haven't seen this word in forever, and then it came up in a book.
Oh yeah. Well, I call it the universe winking at us.
That's
like
it.
Those
so
type of little
you're
things.
reading this book about Nagata. You probably
it was like the universe winking. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So here's a question for you. Ooh. Nick Nurse, new Sixers coach.
Ooh, I love when you use your final thought with a question. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, I can't decide where I fall on it. So Nick Nurse, like I think when you picture Nick Nurse, you picture him with glasses. Would you agree?
I would. Yes.
Okay. So did his introductory press conference today. No glasses. Here's my question for you. Do you think it's easier to go from someone that doesn't wear glasses to wearing glasses all the time, or someone that is known for wearing glasses to all of a sudden not wear glasses?
In terms of easier, in terms of like for you, or in terms of for people?
Just like an adjustment to like, if I wore glasses all the time and I showed up one day without glasses, would you comment?
So for me, not for you, because I'm sure
for other people.
I'm sure it'd be a much bigger adjustment to have to wear glasses all the time if you never had to.
I'm talking about like how other people. Like I think like if you all of a sudden started wearing glasses,
I get your point. So I get where you're going with this. It's really interesting. I think it'd be more of an adjustment if you started wearing glasses rather than if you wore glasses and then didn't have them.
Yeah. So like think about it as if you're someone that wears both. One day you do, one day you don't, and you're meeting somebody for the first time. Would you rather be a glasses person or not a glasses person?
So I don't wear glasses. So I would
Right.
obviously go not glasses person just because I have no frame of reference. No
Right.
pun intended. Frame. No
Look
pun
at that.
intended.
Very nicely done.
So I don't know. I just no glasses. I would say no glasses because I've never worn glasses. So
I think
no
it's
glasses.
easier to go from glasses to no glasses.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. Especially because a lot of people do that now with LASIK and all that kind of stuff. That probably happens a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my final thought.
Okay. Deep stuff. I love it.
That's it. Yeah. Well, sorry, I don't have.
How do you feel about
200
Nick
hours.
Nurse wearing his Nick Nurse hat? Do you have an issue with that? I mean, you are
I mean,
an
of course, I don't
authority
like
on
it.
such things. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
But
the tough
here
thing
was
is
my argument.
it's for
I
charity.
like,
So
yes, I'm fine with it because it's for charity. And like, look, let's be honest. If Nike said, Elliot, here's an ESP hat we made for you, and we're freaking Nike. Here you go, buddy, because you're cool enough that we wanted to do this with you. You'd wear the freaking hat. You'd be like, look at my freaking Nike hat.
I just feel like I would feel like such a lame, like showing up
I would wear it in a second. I might
I
never
just feel like
take it
I feel
off.
like such
I
a
might wear
lame
it to
showing up
bed.
to a pod and being like an obvious hat on my
And
head.
then be like, yeah, where'd you get the hat? Nike made it for me because I'm that cool. You're welcome.
Look, I don't like the
boss.
Nick Nurse
It's
hat.
a boss
but
move.
It is
Boss
for
move.
charity. You know, he has Dr. J shirts for sale on his website.
Wow.
I know.
Really ingratiating himself already.
But I think they were already there. I think they've like been there.
Well, Dr. J's a
little
legend.
fact. He is.
I love it.
As a net.
You're such a dick. All right, enough. No more Sixers talk. I can't do it with you.
Amen.
All right. Check Elliot out. Who's with you on Saturday?
Ruben Frank.
Ruben,
Yeah.
Frank, Elliot, and Ruben on Saturday. I will be taking Zoe to her first event for her new school. Very excited. Starting a new school in August.
Is she gonna wear glasses?
No, she doesn't wear glasses.
I'm kidding.
So,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, she won't. But it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited for that. Little hanging an arboretum on Saturday.
Very fun.
Thrilling. So I'm looking forward to that. But we'll be back next week. Check Elliot out on Saturday. Back next week, and then pretty much back to normal for our shows too. So should be awesome. What is the practice schedule before we get out of here? Are there any other?
I believe we're going to get them next week. I don't know what day yet. I think maybe Thursday, but I'm not sure. But we will get them next week.
Yeah, and we'll obviously have pods for you whenever that happens. So
yes.
Until then, he's Adam James.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.